Hello, this is John Wengert with Software Systems Inc. And I just want to take a few minutes to show you some of the improvements that we've made on the server that we were demonstrating at the ROES Users Group meeting in 2014. So ROES Server 3.0, one of the things that we've incorporated into it is the ability to recover better from a restart. So you have auto launch printers and agents. So if we're recovering from a crash, you can come back up and be immediately in a productive state. We've also added the ability to produce a product in the server differently than how it was displayed in the client. So that's an important addition. So for example, you can now display a product as a single 2x3, but produce it as a 4-up in the server on the production side. So a couple years ago, we had rolled out Ensemble as an add-on. Well, now we're incorporating that universally in 3.0. And Ensemble allows multiple workstations to work together, gives us a distributed workflow, and we've improved it even beyond how we had it before because we can now auto-detect other workstations within your network, which makes it very easy for a new workstation to be added to your Ensemble group because you can now copy settings from other workstations that are out there. You can also name a workstation now, and so it makes it much clearer how you're organizing your work. Color correction is universally incorporated and has all the kinds of capabilities that you'd expect. You know, it's non-destructive. We apply deltas at rendering time. User configurations. So one of the things our customers have been asking for is the ability to set different accounts and then have the different users have different levels of access to the system, so you can control what they see and what they have access to. A database. So now really much more front and center is the database, and the means by which we give them to connect to a database allows us to support a variety of different databases that the lab might want to use. We've also added an easy button because if you're a small lab and you don't have an IT department, setting up a database server can be kind of a daunting task. So you can just select an option and we'll take care of setting up the database server with a built-in database server and basically take care of all the details of that for the user. Now, one of the big things that we demonstrated that's new in the server is scripts. Well, what are scripts? Scripts are pieces of code that you can add to the server, which can interact with the server or its environment or anything in the outside world. So it gives us tremendous amount of ability to extend the behavior of the server and customize the server in any way that you want. Scripts can be written by the labs. So you might be wondering, well, did we build our own proprietary language? And no, that would be silly. There is a standard JSR 223 that we've utilized, so we can support any language that has an engine that supports the standard, and the choices are many. So here is an example of some of the options that are available. Now, in any Java runtime environment, they all install the Rhino JavaScript engine. So if a lab has people that are familiar with JavaScript, they can use that. Apple also installs an AppleScript engine, so that's available. And then the ROES server, we always install the Bean Shell engine. And the Bean Shell engine is an engine that itself runs Java. So it's a Java interpreter inside of a Java application. And the implications of this are important because it allows us to do object level exchange between the server and the script. It also allows the script to have access to classes that we make available to the scripts. So there is a lot of capability that the server can be providing to the scripts, so they don't have to write nearly as much code to get all kinds of different capabilities. So where can scripts be used? Well, they can be used in reports. We've also added a scripting agent so you can have them occur anywhere within your workflow. And then we've added a third option, which is a custom event listener. So events are happening within the system anytime, for example, like say an order gets processed. An event gets triggered off saying, hey, I just processed order so-and-so. And so you can have event listeners that get triggered on the occurrence of those events and then execute your script. So I'd like to give you a quick demo of some of the examples that we showed of how you might use scripts at the ROES Users Group meeting. So the first example I'd like to show you is a situation where, let's say, the lab was trying to deal with retouching, and so this example is actually going to use a combination of a scripting agent and a couple of listeners. So first, the scripting agent here, this check order for retouch. If I double click on him, we can see the code that's actually in here, and all it's doing is going in and looking at the order that belongs to the batch that it was handed, and it's going to go try to find if there are any retouch options in that order, and if there are, it's going to add it that order to a list. So let's go and NQ an order that we know has some retouch options, and so at this point, this agent has looked at the contents of this order and has placed it into a list. So let's look at the next step here. Well, okay, we've got an open retouch window. So maybe here's a situation where, you know, somebody a person is going to come in and interact with the system. So they say, okay, I want to actually open this thing up now. And so what this script is doing is it's just opening up a semi-transparent window, and it has a couple of buttons. So we'll click on next, and we can see, hey, it's actually bringing up the order and the image and then telling us what's required. So basic retouching. So maybe I go do my retouching in Photoshop, and then I come back and I say, okay, next, and it's bringing up the next one, and next. Okay, there's a third image that needs retouching, so I complete that, and next, and it identifies, okay, there are no more pending orders. So this is an example of a script doing something a little bit more sophisticated. But if we look at the code, it's still not a tremendous amount of code that's putting up that window, and all it's doing is getting the list that was the order that was placed into the list by the scripting agent, and then if there is anything there, when they hit the next button, they'll open that up in Photoshop. Well, it's kind of hard to get Photoshop to open up as a result of a Java command. So what this script actually does is it injects an event into the system, which triggers this open file in Photoshop, which is written in AppleScript. So this little piece here gets fired off from the other script, and that's how we're opening the images to be retouched in Photoshop. So one of the other thing that we thought might be interesting was, let's say we've got a situation where we're trying to deal with maybe customer service, and you want to be able to enter in a particular order and see maybe the images that belong to that order along with all the order items. So that's so we have a script here that does exactly that. So I'll click on the, okay, go ahead and launch it, which is basically what a little test now button is. And here we have the window that script is bringing up. So I'm going to enter in an order that I know exists in my system and hit return, and looks like we have done some color correction on these images. So so actually this is kind of interesting. So we've done some hideous color correction, so we can see those deltas are being applied to these images, and the reason that you can see that is because we're actually utilizing a class that we have access to from the script, but it's all implemented in the server, and this is doing a tremendous amount of work here, like it's being smart about how much memory it's using for these images, keeping that as small as possible, doing caching and things like that. It supports, you know, we want to see it at different sizes. It also is incorporating the rendering engine's rendering of this, so it's got all the our lovely yellow hue applied to all these images. But we're also getting other data out of the database for this particular order. So it's just a quick example of, you know, how you might use this. So down below are the order items. Now let's say you're on the phone with a customer and they say, okay, yeah, but my 4 wallets and 2 5x7s got wrinkled in shipping, and so we could do something like contextually click here and say, well, I want to reprint those selected items. And what's happened is that item via the script has actually now been placed into one of the queues in the server, so that can get picked up and reprinted. So just a quick demonstration of some of the capabilities that are now available to you in the script, because you can interact with both the server and the server environment, but you can also interact with the outside world and access databases and things like that. So it provides a tremendous amount of flexibility and power. And that's the some of the new capabilities for the ROES server. Thanks for listening.